Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and stop the press. Did you know that cryptocurrencies can indeed be used for illicit and nefarious purposes? I just found that out today. I had no clue. Here's a headline. Analysis of $400 million in illicit XRP activity shows it's mostly theft and Ponzi schemes. Now, upon reading this headline, anytime I see something like this, I start thinking, okay, crypto media, what you getting at here? How are you going to trash Ripple and XRP today? That's mostly not what I'm seeing in crypto media. I got to tell you, by and large, I was pleasantly surprised with the way this content has been covered. Here's another one. This is from A&B Crypto. Same story, but they titled this one, Only 0.2% of XRP transactions used for illicit activity. Note the word only. They could have twisted that into some sort of warped narrative, but really, it's kind of tame. Even CoinDesk here, FUDdesk, as I've come to call them. You know, I tell you what, they seem like they over the, I don't know, even just going back 6 to 12 months ago. Maybe it's just my perception, but it seems to me that they used to be much more harsh and irrational when covering Ripple and XRP and really any developer building on top of the XRP ledger. But look at this headline. It's actually not that bad. They titled this one, XRP is used in crime, but far less often than Bitcoin, Elliptic says. So how about that? In the headline of the story, they're acknowledging that Bitcoin is used more frequently for crime. And this one, I read the other two articles. I didn't bother reading this one. It's got to be the same story over and over again. So I just wanted to pull it up just for the sake of the headline. But anyway, I'm going to run through that. And I've also got two stories that are kind of related, which I found fascinating. I'll save this for the end of the video. This one's from Cointelegraph. China digital currency launch definitely in 6 to 12 months. Investor. So that means the investor says that. And take a look at this now. U.S. Federal Reserve exploring digital dollar and its effects on monetary system. Yes, indeed, the Fed is looking at the idea of a digital dollar. Now, we're going to have to talk about that a little bit more because, in terms of what the United States dollar is, yes, some of it's printed, but I'd argue it really is digital already. But I'll save it for later in the video. Before I get going any further, if you would, please delicately tap that like button. And if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP, well, thanks so much for stopping by. Gosh darn it, I appreciate that. This is an XRP-centric channel, so if you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and consider doing that. Perhaps it will brighten your day with joy every time you stumble upon a Moon Lambo recommended video. See, there you go. Or, well, YouTube recommends. But you got the jib of my cut, right? Can I say that backwards? So here's a tweet from Poochie, and I hope I'm saying that right. I want to get names of XRP community members right. So if I'm not saying it right, Poochie, let me know how to enunciate that, and I will try to do better in future videos. But thank you very much for tagging me in this. It's the first article from the Next Web. Analysis of $400 million in illicit XRP activity shows it's mostly theft and Ponzi schemes. And so here's the tweet in response to that he also wrote. Does anyone know what the following statement means from the author of this article, not as liquid? And I will try to remember to cover that. I do have a thought on that as soon as I get to that part in the article. So let's go ahead and run through this now. All right, cryptocurrency analysts have identified $400 million worth of illicit XRP transactions, mainly Ponzi schemes and exchange thefts. The illicit XRP activity detected by London-based firm Elliptic amount to less than 0.2% of all XRP payments processed to date, which is less than other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Well, how about that? And it's actually, frankly, not too terribly surprising given, volume, for example, 24-hour volume. Just look at that on CoinMarketCap or Live Coin Watch. In press materials shared with Hard Fork, Elliptic chief scientist, and by the way, I should clarify when I said that, they were talking about percentages here. I was talking about in terms of actual dollars. In press materials shared with Hard Fork, Elliptic chief scientist Tom Robinson attributed this to two main factors. XRP is simply not as liquid as Bitcoin or Ethereum, so it's not as easy to cash out. large amounts of illicit cryptocurrency. And so that's the part you're asking, does anyone know what the following statement means from the author of this article? XRP being not as liquid. Well, when we're talking about liquidity, we're talking about the availability to easily, quickly buy and sell. There are certain assets that humans can own that are not necessarily easy to turn back into cash. But when you're talking about cryptocurrency, specifically XRP, yeah, it's pretty easy. If you're an XRP community member, you probably have an exchange of choice that you like to go to either buy or sell your XRP, and you can get out pretty quickly. But for large quantities, in terms of off-ramps, I'd be willing to bet, and I didn't look this up, but if you were to research this, how could it not be the case? There has to be Bitcoin on more exchanges than XRP. How could that not be the case? It's been around longer. It's got the brand recognition, all the cachet, if you will. And so there's got to be more exchanges, and it's definitely traded in larger volumes. So in terms of cashing out larger amounts, that statement makes sense. There's more liquidity. That's all it is. Because imagine if you steal large quantities of Bitcoin from somebody, easier to cash out, via that route than XRP, where there's just less opportunity. So less opportunity to sell out of it, but it really depends on what kind of quantity we're talking about here. For everyday people like you and me, liquidity is not exactly an issue, no matter what cryptocurrency you're talking about, especially if you're buying and selling one of the top 10 cryptocurrencies, let's say. Anyway, XRP is also more centralized than other crypto assets and perhaps more associated with traditional finance. This might make it less attractive to illicit actors who might prefer something more decentralized and neutral, said Robinson. Now, that's completely nonsensical, flatly false. XRP is actually more decentralized than Bitcoin, quite arguably. You can take a look at the, in terms of the miners in China, controlling over half of the network, right? In terms of a 51% attack, if those miners colluded, they could do whatever the heck they want, correct? Indeed. Really? Well, that's not possible with XRP anyway. That said, Elliptic did find a small amount of XRP transactions related to the illegal sale of credit card details. The firm also confirmed that, unlike Bitcoin, XRP has not been adopted very much by users of underground dark web markets. Okay. I'll take that at face value. I'll assume it's factual and say super duper. That's fine. I don't really care. If you think about the type of people that are involved in crypto from day one, it is fair to say that most of them don't like the way in which XRP is being used by one of the developers, Ripple. And as a result, it's kind of like XRP is the bastard child, right? In September, the firm recorded $829 million worth of illicit Bitcoin activity, just 0.5% of all transactions in its history. Yes, it is possible to pursue and prosecute these bad actors by tracing their crypto asset transactions, said Robinson. For example, in many cases, the criminals will attempt to cash out through exchanges. So there you go. And the more is traded, again, that goes back to the liquidity concept, the easier it is to get out of it, right? All right, and here's a tweet. I wanted to share this. And so there's a tweet from CoinDesk just advertising their own article. I already gave you the title. And they wrote, just in, criminals have used XRP to carry out their illicit activities, though hardly to the same degree as Bitcoin, according to a new report from blockchain sleuthing firm Elliptic. Stone Hodl XRP responded, OMG, value being used in nefarious transactions? Come on back with some real news. And he's got a little gif of President Trump saying, you are fake news. So I still think that's funny. Now, my opinion is it's not fake news. It is news. It's legit. It's in the crypto media, and they weren't even being nasty about it, so I'm cool with it. But Stone Hodl XRP, your point on, oh my gosh, value being used in nefarious transactions. Well, yeah, I'm totally with you on that. That makes a ton of sense. Of course, anything of value that can be traded, you're not going to be able to stop humans from doing bad stuff with it, It's just, it's going to happen. All right, let me go ahead and jump on here now. Oh, check out this. I wanted to share this with you. This is from Rocky Ride, at Rocky Ride XRP, tagged me with a couple others. He wrote this. I know that I'm probably older than most of you. My buddies and I, back in the day, used to get Ripple in a bottle for $2. You could see it, taste it, puke it. I just seen a bottle on SD, I think, isn't it Etsy? Or am I mistaken? I don't know. From the 70s, priced at $185. Then he writes, HODL, exclamation point. And so I was like, what is this? And I clicked on it, and it's what you see right here. It's a bottle of Ripple Red, right on the screen, right there. An alcoholic beverage named Ripple. Where the heck can I get this? Well, it turns out it's actually out there. I actually looked this up. I just Googled it and I came across this website, Grape Collective, whatever it is. Enjoy a $200 bottle of Ripple. How about that? Sounds delicious, but it sounds a little centralized. Doesn't the drink sound a little centralized? I don't know about that. Well, I don't know what that tastes like. Anyway, here's the next tweet. I got this from XRP Crypto Wolf. Thank you very much for tagging me. And the story comes from Cointelegraph. China digital currency launch definitely in 6 to 12 months as investor. China will definitely deploy its new digital currency within the next 6 months to a year, a local blockchain investor has said. Speaking to CNBC on November 20th, Ida Cheng, I don't know if I'm saying Chung? Yeah, I suck at foreign names. A partner at blockchain-focused venture capital fund Proof of Capital appeared convinced about the digital currency's imminent arrival. I think definitely within the next 6 to 12 months, she told the network about a launch timeframe. China has revealed it has been developing the virtual yuan for several years, but senior government officials have so far declined to state when it could become a reality. For Cheng, however, foreign powers should already be prepared to respond, as China looks to become the first country worldwide to issue a digital incarnation of its national currency. I really think the United States needs to hurry up to have a strong thinking and policy and at least a direction for virtual United States dollars, she continued. Well, how about that? Now let's jump into the next piece. What perfect timing. And I got this next one from Poochie, who wrote, When XRP Moon, and it was a link to this article from Cointelegraph, U.S. Federal Reserve exploring digital dollar and its effects on monetary system. The United States Federal Reserve System is exploring the development of a central bank digital currency, CBDC, and what issues and risks it could potentially pose. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell provided a response to U.S. Representatives French Hill and Bill Foster's request on whether the Federal Reserve plans to launch a national digital currency, a financial services reporter Zachary Warmbrout tweeted on November 20th. In the letter, Powell set forth the Federal Reserve's view on the creation of a CBDC, emphasizing that, although the agency is not currently developing a CBDC, it has assessed and continues to evaluate the costs and benefits of such an initiative. Well, how about that? They're actually looking into this. Powell revealed that the agency is conducting its own small-scale research-focused experiments to gain hands-on experience and better understand the opportunities and limitations of CBDCs. Indeed. So take a look at this. I just want to read this last little part here. Powell said that prior to issuing a CBDC, the Federal Reserve has to address a number of legal questions, including monetary and payments policies, financial stability, supervision and operational issues, and their vulnerability to cyber attacks. And here's a quote from him now. If it is designed to be financially transparent and provide safeguards against illicit activity, a general-purpose CBDC could conceivably require the Federal Reserve to keep running record of all payments data using the digital currency, and sometimes that raises issues related to data privacy and information security. And there you go. Actually, that's a reason you would think that perhaps the government would like it, right? You kind of wonder. I mean, of course, the security part, they wouldn't want that stuff getting out into the wild, but even so, for their own nefarious purposes, right? Because the government's always bad. I'm teasing. But look, the thing about it is, it goes back to, for me, and I'm open-minded. So if there's a good case for this to be made, totally open-minded here. But I haven't seen a compelling case made to this point as to why this makes sense, given that ledgers right now they're typically fine. There's cash dollars, but everything's already digital anyway. So fundamentally, what would you change by issuing a CBDC if you do this? How is that different than the current digital form of the United States dollars? Just make the case to me, and I'll be open-minded. But I always tend to go back to Brad Garlinghouse's train of thought, which is, what problem are you actually solving by doing this? Is it going to fundamentally change something for the people using the currency or not? And if not, is it something to where on the back end systems, it's more efficient, can save money there somehow for those processing transactions. Just make the case to me, because right now I don't see it. It's certainly not as far as how it would positively impact those using it. To me, it just seems like for the users, at a minimum for the users, it seems like a lateral switch if it were to occur. If there's some case to be made on the back end, that makes a little more sense to me. But even then, I'm like, okay, just show me the data, and then at least I can form a reasonable opinion. But that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!